moment where every time there's silence, I think of the scene in The Force Awakens where Poe Dameron's like, so who talks first? Do you talk first? Do I talk first?
I know. I
And
thought, for some reason, I thought you feared it, that you were going to do the intro on this one, but
it's one of those things. And so it is
I'll
all
do it.
good. Oh no, this is the intro. This is
the intro. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the intro. You're here. Let's
You're here.
go.
All right. This is the kind of professionalism we have, folks. We have the power and the capacity to redo the intro.
We don't want
but
it.
We're not gonna.
We're not going to.
No. All right. So today we're gonna launch into it a little bit quickly because we have a plan and it might not work, but we're gonna see if we can stick to it.
Famous last words.
Especially with us.
Let's go.
All right. This episode we were gonna talk about the Crow, the movie that had just come out in theaters, I think this week. It
just literally came out this week.
Yeah, so it's the 24th today. So came out this weekend. Joe hasn't seen it.
I have not. But I also, to be fair, I've read the graphic novel, and I've seen the original, and then I've also seen City of Angels, and that's as far as I've gone with The Crow.
Yeah.
So it's not a property that's near and dear to me, but it's one that interests me.
And that's totally fair. So I think you may. So there's a couple of different schools of thought for this. At the end of the day, I have seen all of the movies at least once, maybe even 3 times, other than maybe Wicked Prayer, which has Edward Furlong.
Sure
yeah. And so like, I went to see The Crow on yesterday.
Now, did you see it with Mandy or without Mandy?
Oh, she's not a fan. So I usually just go I just went by myself.
Yep. You went by your lonesome. Okay.
Yep. And so I enjoyed it, which is contrary to almost every opinion I've read online initially, is that this movie isn't great.
Right.
I recognize that it is not what people are expecting.
Yeah.
And I did what Joe and I always say, like, go in wanting to enjoy it and you're rarely going to be disappointed.
That is definitely an Alex saying. That is not a Joe saying. That is too positive for my saying. Thank you for giving me the credit, though.
Hey, you're welcome. It's one of those things we do say that, but I think for you it's more a case of go and open-minded, right? Is how it goes.
Go in and hope it doesn't suck.
Exactly. And
that's more me.
And honestly, I don't think it sucked. There's a very different, I can't think of the word I'm looking for, structure to the movie than you would expect if you're comparing it strictly to the other episodes.
I mean, the other
4 or 5, yeah. The other 4 or 5.
I think that's the hang up, right? Yeah.
I think so. So the other 4 or 5 movies, you have within the first 5 to 15 minutes, inevitably, you have the setup of main character loses a loved one, then also dies.
Right, exactly.
Right, like within the first 15 minutes, sometimes even less than that, and it is told within flashbacks. But by that point, you're already seeing them start to come back.
Right.
This one, I think it takes closer to half an hour before it even starts to hint as to what's happening.
So it gives you time to get to know the person's loved one.
Exactly. So it gives you time to get to know the characters. It gives them time to kind of show their story, because when the movie starts, they don't know each other, which I thought was an interesting take.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. I also think one of the biggest hang-ups people are having is the name of the 2 characters, Eric and Shelley, because that immediately takes you back to the 1994 Brandon Lee movie.
Right.
It's, you're comparing Bill Skarsgård to Brandon Lee.
This is, in all intents and purposes, though, a reboot. This is totally a reboot.
This is an entirely new thing. I don't even it's one of those things.
No, but they're using the same names. It can tell you where it's deriving it from.
Yeah, 100%. And the question I was asking myself as I was going through is I don't think it has anything to do with the original movie. I think it's more a new adaptation on the original book than it is anything to do with it. And I think that's why you're getting Eric and Shelley as opposed to anything else. And
how was Bill Skarsgård?
I really enjoyed him.
see, I like him personally. He's
Yeah.
won me over quite a bit, especially with, playing what the frig the name is, the clown in Stephen King's It. I can't remember the
Yeah,
clown's name.
I have no idea either. Pennywise.
Oh my God. Like, how did I forget that? But yeah, he won me over in that. And then he's just a good actor. He's really a good actor. He's very nuanced. And so I was like, if there's going to be anything that's saving grace about it, so to speak, it's going to be the fact that he's playing it. So I thought that was interesting.
I agree. Like, I think he is really good at what he does. I think he was a great choice.
Yeah.
I recognize the concerns that people have with the aesthetic that they put him in, tattooed, that kind of clothing, the haircut. I get it. The thing is, it's a movie that takes place 30 years later than the original, which took place, which happened after the graphic novel.
Yeah,
exactly.
No
and the graphic novel
anymore.
was in exactly. Ironically enough, the So the book took place in the 80s, right? And he had that 80s aesthetic. The next movie was in the 90s, and it had that aesthetic, but it was so iconic that has carried over to every other movie. And while you do eventually see him in a long coat, and he does eventually get the makeup, I find every movie other than the original struggles with, why does he have the makeup on? Why does it?
Funny too? It's like Sting, the wrestler, has really usurped that look.
Yep.
From the Crow franchise, like, other than Brandon Lee, Sting has taken that look. Period. And I think that's part of the reason they also said, you know what? Let's go with something different. This is out there in other formats, and it's known by bigger stars who have utilized it for a career. I mean, you got to figure Sting's used it for the better part of 25 years at this point.
Exactly.
Before he retired. So it's like, let's give a reboot. And I like the whole Native American part of it. I think it's interesting because you can bring in like a shaman style to it and all that. And it kind of gives more of a mysticism. So it makes more sense.
And I think what's interesting is it delves into a little bit more about how the Crow works and how that side of things. So you see him effectively, you see him die, you see what happens. Like, you don't just see him wake up. And then stuff happens and he goes back to that place every so often. And I think it's interesting. I recognize that for some people it's not what that they're not a fan of it, and I get that.
Right.
But looking at it as if it's a brand new franchise or a brand new take or a new, it's not like, oh, this is the sixth movie in the series with just two characters that happen to be Eric and Shelley again.
Right.
No, this is more like, okay, so this is more like the Spider-Man TV show, the original movie, Spider-Man movie from like the 80s or 60s, like that kind of thing where it's like that, where it's still live action, it's still Spider-Man, but then when you get to Tobey Maguire or hell, even Andrew Garfield, it's so far removed from that, like from that original 60s 70s movie, that they're a totally different thing. It's not like you're going to suddenly see, well, it's not a sequel to that. Clearly, it's something completely different.
Yeah, it's something that's trying to do its own thing and hopefully become a franchise, but I doubt it.
And that's the issue with The Crow, is that I think because James O'Barr's original book was one and done, and sequels rarely, and folks correct me if I'm wrong, sequels never featured Eric. They featured a new Crow.
Yeah, as far as I know.
Right? Yeah. So the movies have never had the same lead. There's only been one movie with a character that recurs over, and that was City of Angels, so The Crow 2 with Sarah.
The movies accidentally have the same lead, because had Brandon Lee lived, he unequivocally would have been the Crow going forward.
And that's the thing. Had he lived, I would have assumed that he would come back one way or another, like to protect Sarah or something like that. That's what the story would have been. So instead, you have the new Sarah, and that's where Ash gets the makeup from. And then in the third movie, Salvation, he gets the makeup because it's like scarred onto his face from how he died. So it's not makeup so much as scarring.
Right. I mean, this one, I saw the trailer, and this thing looked like it was going to be a bloodbath. It looked good. It looked interesting.
And I think that's also, ironically enough, that's also where some of the complaints come from, is that it takes too long to get there. Now,
well, how long is too long? I mean, Batman Begins took about 50 minutes to get to Bruce Wayne in the bat suit.
Well, and so here's your question: do you consider, like, would you consider the Crow as long coat with the makeup, or would you consider the Crow as once he comes back from the dead and is that therefore then has the powers of the Crow?
That's interesting. I would, because I think you'd go iconic with just everything, the whole ensemble,
right? So in that case, it does take a minute to get there, but it takes a minute to get there because he's still going through his journey, like he's still realizing what he's doing, but he's already started the process of becoming that. Like he's already, like, looks like you and I kind of thing, going out to try and stop them from doing what they're doing, and then all of a sudden, like, the markings come up.
Yeah, and that's cool. Like, because it takes a little bit more exposition to get to it. How's the villains in it? Like, how's the script? Is it just he's the best part of it, and that's
he's 100% the best part of it. Like, there's no dancing around it. Like, so I don't remember the name of the guy who's the main villain, but you would know him, like you would know the actor if you saw him.
Oh, I'm sure.
He's more, has a bit more of a supernatural bent, which again isn't out of the realm of the ordinary for the movie. And for fuck's sake, it's in a movie about someone coming back from the dead.
Yeah. I mean, how can you be?
Yeah, how can you be upset about someone who also communes with the other side? Or right?
Yeah,
like
that's just pointless if you're mad about that.
Yeah. So that to me is irrelevant now. You don't, because you have more villains, you don't have the same level of development as you did with the 4 in the original movie, or 4 or 5 in the original movie, as you did with some of the other ones, right? So you don't have that level of villain character development, and frankly, it doesn't matter as much because they're really there just to die.
Brady, enough.
He agrees. Yeah,
Brady, right? Brady's agreeing. God, this dog. Never had a. He just always interjects at some friggin' point. He can't be.
The ironic thing is, my cat jumped up onto my lap and squeaked at about the same time. So.
Oh God.
But yeah, so like the villains, I get, like, they're not Thanos, right? Like, let's not.
Right.
They're not Thanos. They're not Ra's al Ghul. They're They're a little bit less developed than some of the John Wick villains. Like from
okay, but it's also a different type of franchise. It's a totally different.
I would put
it's not world saving.
No, it's more like John Wick than it is X-Men or Spider-Man or Punisher, right? Like, it's more like that than it is anything else. So
you sound like you were entertained, though. You enjoyed it.
I intend to see it again. Will I see it again in the cinema? Probably not. But I do intend to watch it again.
That was going to be my next test. Is like, you always know a movie's good. I mean, back in the day, the movie is good if you were going to buy it on DVD the moment it released. Like, if you got out of the movie, you're like,
if this was back in the day, I'd be buying it on DVD.
Okay, all right. That was going to be my question, because now it's like, will you get whatever streaming platform it's going to be on just to see it again? You know, like, that's...
Yeah, and it's such a tough metric now, isn't it? Because unless it comes to, like, one of the ones you already have, well, I'm not going to
already have. Now you're going to go buy... Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so will I watch it again? Absolutely. Will it be in the cinema? Maybe. Yeah.
There's a couple good movies coming out.
That's just it. So
yeah, like, I mean, you've got Joker 2, Folio 2, with Joaquin and Lady Gaga, and then you've got what else is there? Jesus, it's on the tip of my tongue. I just saw the commercial for it when I went to Deadpool. What is the movie? Hold on, it's like McFly.
I can't even think of it.
Oh my God, there's 2 big ones, and I can't think of the next big one. And it's a big one. Oh my God, for me, it's huge. Oh, Michael Keaton, Beetlejuice.
Oh,
Jesus.
I saw that. I thought the title of that was phenomenal.
It's brilliant.
Right?
Now that already leads you to, like, Beetlejuice.
Yeah, I was like, I wonder if they're going to do a sequel to that, just because
I think they will.
And if they don't, you still got Beetlejuice on your shelf if you got the movie. If you have,
So here's the thing, though. Think about it. Oh wow, I didn't even think about that. If you have the original Beetlejuice DVD or Blu-ray, and then you get Beetlejuice, you have, if you put them side by side, it's Beetlejuice.
Exactly.
That is so cool. You're very smart.
One way or another, it'll work. So I can't wait for that one. I think that one's gonna be fantastic.
You know what's funny? So like, I guess we'll keep this because I don't know how much juice you have left in the Crow, but we'll keep this a movie centric little mini podcast. Did you know that he was only in the original movie for 17 minutes total time?
Beetlejuice? Yeah, I did know that.
I didn't know that. So he's in it 17 minutes this time around too.
It shocked me when I found out that's how long he was in it. Cause he made such an impact that I thought he was in it that much more.
That's what everyone says. Yep. And they said this movie, they kept it true to form. He's in it exactly 17 minutes as long as the first movie.
I think that's such a good idea. And
I think that's interesting.
And the thing is, do you count like the 17 minutes as scenes that he's in or the times he's actually on the screen?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But that might be homework to rewatch the first one before it comes out. But keeping in the vein of the movies, it's good to hear that you liked it. I don't know if it's something I'm gonna go rush to see just because The Crow is not near and dear to me.
And that's just it. Like I think ironically enough, because it's not near and dear to you, I think you might enjoy it a little bit more.
Like I might have a fresher take on it.
You may have a fresher take, and if you do see it, I'd be interested to see what you think. Like it's very much, to me, it's very much it's a revenge film, and I think that like any revenge film, John Wick, the original Crow, Nobody, that kind of thing, it can take a while.
Nobody, I need to see Nobody.
Oh my god, like Nobody is like it sucks that John Wick took off. I think Nobody is far superior.
I heard Nobody's so good.
It's far superior.
One of the people I worked with told me it was great.
It's Bob Odenkirk, and you don't expect that from Bob Odenkirk.
I know.
So,
right.
So it takes a while to get it. Like I said, it does take a bit to get going. I think also because you don't know how long the movie takes place over. Is it like a week? Is it months? Because these characters have only just met each other, within the first 10, 15 minutes of the movie. Or then you have like, how did they fall in love that hard and that deeply in like 3 hours or in 3 days? Do we know it was 3 days, or are they just showing us snapshots over the like months?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, so that complaint, when I read that, I'm like, like that doesn't bother me because again, they don't say
it's a movie,
8 months.
Guys.
Yeah. Like they don't say 8 months later. It's just clearly different days are taking place.
Yeah, clearly time has passed. Like, I doubt it's 3 days. You know what I mean?
And
people want to complain about shit just to complain about shit.
And the thing is that you've also got to look at the fact that these guys Eric and Shelley are also using various different types of drugs that could easily exacerbate any kind of feelings they have for each other and rush them along.
Time not be relevant as well.
Exactly. So I don't, again, like there are things to complain about in the movie, none of which really hindered my enjoyment to it.
And that's good. I'm really glad that you thoroughly enjoyed it. That makes me happy because you're a big fan. But keeping in the theme of revenge, yes, I am going to talk about Deadpool and Wolverine because it's so epic. But keeping in the theme of revenge, what is not epic just came out from Marvel Comics, I think this week or last week. I was looking forward to this because we all know how much I love Greg Capullo. I was looking so fucking forward to this book. Him drawing Wolverine was like, yes, it's just a natural extension of Batman.
I know.
They even say it in the Deadpool and Wolverine. He's like, hey, look at his mask. It's like Batman, but he can move his neck. But
I thought that was hilarious.
Dude, have you read Wolverine Revenge?
Not yet. Is it worth it?
It's fucking awful. It's so goddamn bad. It's like, I'm so pissed this book got made. And then they're like, well, it's an alternate it's an alternate. No, none of the characters act right. Like Colossus, please read it just out of morbid curiosity. But
I will. Yeah, I think I was like, why didn't I pick that up? And then I didn't go to the show.
Colossus and Deadpool do not act correct
as
at
they
all.
should. Yeah,
it's written by John Hickman, and Jonathan Hickman's a good writer. Like,
Mhm.
I love his Ultimate Spider-Man right now. It's one of my favorite books on the shelf. It's so good. I loved his Fantastic Four. I think he revived the Fantastic Four. I was not the biggest fan of his X-Men. I liked it at first, and then it just droned and meandered on too long, and was just too artsy fartsy for me. It was just like too much exposition. This book though sucks. This is like, the Marvel Universe is the biggest bunch of dumbasses, because it's basically everyone gets killed. Only Wolverine, Nick Fury, Captain America, and Bucky remain for good guys. That's it. Everyone else got caught in an EMP or some kind of disaster that they don't really truly say. Oh, they say Asteroid M fell out of orbit and just landed on North America. It landed on Canada and destroys Canada. It kills Canada. Everyone in Canada is dead.
Of course.
So, yeah. But then it wipes out everyone else too, the EMP somehow. And it's Omega Red, Mastermind, Sabretooth again, who just needs to fucking go away and fuck off for a while. Deadpool and Colossus are the villains. And their whole, I'm just going to tell you, their whole thing is basically, we are betraying the Americans because it is our time. Our countries have always been second rate. We deserve a better world. So 300 million people died, and then it's up to them to kill off the rest of like the 3.5 billion and then leave their families and countrymen. It's just that cookie cutter.
That's yeah.
And Wolverine's like, Colossus, what are you doing? He's like, Petey, what are you doing? He's like, I'm sorry, Wolverine. And he's like, you're going to want to explain yourself? Why do I have to explain myself? The West is always in power. Today, the West dies. I'm sorry you have to die with it. Like, it's just, that is not Colossus.
No.
It is not fucking Colossus. And then here's the best part. Deadpool assassinates Captain America. They pull a Suicide Squad, Amanda Waller, because Mastermind puts all these bombs in their chest, like Iron Man. And Wolverine's the only one who lives, of course. So Deadpool pulls the button on Captain America and annihilates him. And he's like, oh, I wish I could have done that sooner. And it's like, they're trying to make him jokey, but he's not funny. And the other thing is, anyone who has ever written Wade Wilson knows how much Wade Wilson idolizes Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
So it makes no fucking sense that he wants to wipe out Captain America first. It would make sense he wanted to kill Bucky first, because he kills Bucky, blows him up too. He's like, boom. It makes sense on that, because maybe in his warped brain, he'd be like, oh, I could be the new Bucky. I could be Cap's buddy. But he kills Cap and Bucky. And then the most egregious use of Wolverine's healing power. Like, this is ridiculous. They're like, oh, we had to find a disease that was able for us to operate on you, to get the bomb inside you without you constantly healing and spitting your body, rejecting it. So what we did was we tucked it behind your rib cage inside, so that way it can't pop out. Like, what? And then they explode Wolverine anyway, just for the fuck of it.
Yeah,
and then, of course, from like a single atom, he grows completely back.
Of course.
And now he's John Wick. And he's like, now I'm on my revenge tour. Oh, God, kill me. Like, literally, it's that fucking bad. I was looking so forward to this. Like, the opening is Wolverine fighting a dinosaur with a tribesman. He's on vacation. His vacation gets fucked up because Nick Fury shows up, and he's like, you better have a good reason for showing up, ruining my vacation, Nick. And he's like, well, the world is dead, and we need you. He's like, the what is dead? He's like, 600 million people died. And like, well, how would Wolverine know about this? Like, I know you're with the tribesmen, but you still got modern technology.
You're not completely
No. And then the fact that like Asteroid M just falls out of the sky. Like, I didn't know. Is there still an Asteroid M in comic books? I thought that was gone a long time ago.
I honestly don't know.
Dude, it's just atrociously bad.
Yeah.
But you being a Wolverine fan, I don't even think you could tolerate this book. There's no fucking way you could tolerate this book. Like, the writing is just so bad. It's like it's bad on purpose.
Which is a shame. Yeah, it's a shame.
Oh.
It's funny, like you were talking, I was like, why didn't I pick it up? I didn't go to the shop this week because I wasn't feeling great. So that's why I have no idea about it.
So bad.
I'm glad you told me about it. Yeah, I'm glad you told me this before I went to read it.
This bothers me so much because like I love Greg
So
Capullo, but his art can't save this. I don't give a
so
fuck. It's so bad.
talking about other decent Wolverine based books, did you read
Yeah.
What If Donald Duck Became Wolverine?
No. What?
It is it is so fucking stupid and so fucking great.
I'm gonna read that. That
It
sounds funny.
it's
You know.
and that's just it. Like it's not. Don't get me wrong. Like it's not comic book literature. It's a Donald Duck
Yeah.
comic, as if
Yeah.
the that group were the superheroes. So it's just fun.
I get it. It's not highfalutin. That's fine.
No, exactly.
But speaking of, I want to tell you something. So
Mm.
I went to see Deadpool and Wolverine again.
Okay.
A friend of mine who I worked with, I trained her. We're like really good friends. It was, I don't know if it was a date or whatever, but I mean, I wouldn't have minded. But we're like really close. We went and she was like, "Hey, do you want to go see Deadpool and Wolverine with me?" And I'm like, "Fuck yeah, let's go." And
Yeah.
like, so we
You don't
went
have to
because we were
ask
gonna
me
go.
twice.
No, and like, because she knows I'm so into Marvel, and she is
Hmm.
too. But like, her family, she was like, no one wants to go, and this and that. I was like, yeah, that's fine. So we went, and I got to see it again, but from the perspective of already knowing for the most part everything that's coming. However,
How was
there
that?
is, oh, it was better the second time around. I'm going to be very honest with you. I
Okay.
loved it more the second time, but the dialogue is so snappy, so fast. I realized how much I missed the first time around. There's so
Mm.
many jokes that hit on point better this time around because I had an idea of them coming, and but when the punchlines landed, they were better, they were cleaner. It just, but here's the thing, shit that I did not notice the first time around. He saved some of his universe. I mean, he saved his universe, but he also saved some of the people in the void. Because Daphne Keene X-23 is in the apartment at the end of the movie.
Yep. Yep.
I
He
didn't know
did.
that the first time around. That went
It's
way over my head. Like I
yeah.
missed that.
I remember noticing it,
Nope, I
and
didn't
then
notice that shit at
and
all.
then we like it never came up when we were talking about it.
No. And then I noticed Gambit on the monitors when they cut to this end scene with Johnny Storm
Hmm.
when he's like, "Got you, fuck stick," because like Johnny Storm's like, Cassandra Nova can gargle my jug of nuts, blah 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 blah. Like he goes all Boston. When Wade's pulling away, like you see the stuff on the monitor, you see Thor crying again and all that. There's a tiny thing that you still see Gambit going. So like
Oh,
they've already said that Gambit is basically a lock for Doomsday and Secret Wars
I
because they've
hope
already
it's
asked him.
Channing Tatum.
Oh, they already said it was Channing Tatum.
Oh, I'm
They
so
asked
happy.
they asked him back.
This is one of those things where everything about him was perfect, and
Oh,
and I
even
don't mean
better the
that as in
second
he
time
was
around.
like he was just it was like it was he was like, oh, he was
So
so
good.
cheesy. I'm like,
No, it
yes,
was perfect.
that is. I was like, that is exactly what I want. Like his accent was shit,
It
and
was perfect.
it
And
is
did you know he
exactly
was
what I wanted.
Cajun?
I had no idea that Channing
He's
Tatum was
fucking
Cajun.
Cajun.
So one
So
could
his
argue
accent's
that,
accurate. Yes.
yeah,
He even said, hey, it's all from the, like, I was watching him on Entertainment Tonight. He's like, listen, it's all from the Bayou. He's like, there is really no accent. It's kind of a jumble. He's like, Lafayette's got an accent. He's like, but then, New Orleans, they don't really got an accent. He's like, it's just kind of a mishmash of everything. He's like, but my dad was Cajun and he grew up there when he was 7. And there's
mm,
pictures of him, like when he was like 6 and 7, wanting to be Gambit, and he had his mom's like coat. He had a coat on, but he had like his mom's like fingerless gloves and shit like that. He's been like lobbying this his entire life,
oh,
and he's
unbelievable.
like,
Like
yeah,
it's
and
yeah.
when he's
This is
talking about it, yeah, go.
no, I was gonna say Channing Tatum. I'm so happy he finally got to play the
Me
character. Like
too.
Channing Tatum as Gambit is one of the highlights of the
Oh,
movie
it is one
because
of
it's
the
Channing
absolute
Tatum as
highlights.
Gambit.
It's that, and then the best scene still for me 2 times around is when Wade's in the back seat of the car and he's like, I fucking take it back. He's like, holy shit, the Honda Odyssey, it fucks so hard. Way better than you, needle dick. And then Wolverine charges in again, and they go for like round 3. That's the best. That whole sequence of them beating the shit out of each other
Oh, it was
to You're
so
the One That
good.
I Want from Grease, which
Yeah,
is a song of mine that I love anyway, is my favorite scene. I could watch that over and over and over and over. And like I had the worst, like I was with my friend Taylor and I had like the worst time. I'm like, please. She's like, I've avoided all spoilers. I've avoided everything. I'm like, I don't know how you supernaturally avoided all spoilers. She's like, every time I came on Instagram, I just scroll by if anything looked. I mean, she said I did know a couple characters. Like she knew Channing Tatum was going to be in it. I was like, oh, that's
Yeah.
such a bummer. But like, how could you not? He's the meme viral thing. But
Right.
she was so happy because Jennifer Garner was in it and that got by her. She had no clue. And she like, I love Daredevil and Elektra. So like the fact that like that got by her, she was so happy. But Gambit this time around, I caught more of his lines. Like when he's like when they're talking about, yeah, we need to get an end or whatever, or maybe a beginning because, you know, but some people maybe never knew you were here. And then it was like, you know, they were like, I spent my whole life doing this. He's like, I think I was born in the void. I don't even know. And then, but like, just so many things were great. And then he's like, I'm sorry. He's like, who's your dialect coach, gorgeous? The Minions? He's like, what's your superpower? I charge the cards and make them go boom. And he's like, so your power is close-up magic. We're totally not fucked at all. And he's like, please tell me we have one more guy. Yeah, we got one more guy. He's like, is it Magneto? Is it Magneto? Oh, no, they killed Magneto. Fuck. Well, at least tell me his helmet. Oh, she shredded and melted the helmet. He's like, God damn it. And then when they do the speech, when Daphne Keane comes out of the shadows and she's like, we're going to do this. Maybe we can do this. And he's like, let's fucking go. And everyone's saying that. And then Logan goes, yeah, good fucking luck. He's like, oh my God, read the room. Like, it's so good. And even the second time around, Cassandra Nova is just amazing. She is amazing in this movie.
It's funny. Like I have plans. I was thinking like, what am I going to do tonight? Because man, my wife's busy. So I'm like, well, maybe I'll go rewatch that again. So like, I know we're running up on time for this episode.
Yeah, we'll talk for a few months.
But yeah, so like I know you've got plans tonight, and so, well,
I do.
I ordered pizza for pickup. Ironically, around the same time you're going for supper, which is I found kind of amusing.
That is very funny. It's almost like it's like a universal world supper time.
Yeah,
but
who would have thought?
People here, if you go for supper that early, which we are, just happenstance because it's his birthday weekend, he's got shit to do. Like here, it's like you're the early bird special. You're like, it's like 70s. Like, are you like you retired? You know.
It's funny. So back home, if we were gonna do like when we say, we'd say tea time, which dinner time,
like 8 o'clock.
Time. No, so that'd be about. We would always eat tea at 5:30, which is tea is just no different than supper. Like your after work main meal.
See, I thought European was later. I thought European meals were like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock.
Honestly, I've learned that in France and Italy they tend to be. So I don't know if it's just my family that did it at 5:30 because Dad had to be up. So in the summer he would work from 6 or 7 a.m. I think it was. Yeah, like I think
I learned that tidbit from watching Emily in Paris.
That is hilarious.
I watched that entire fucking show. I breezed through the whole goddamn thing. I learned that from a Reddit thread
literally 2 days ago. But yeah, my dad would work in the winter because he was like a groundsman type thing for the county. So they'd have like a ton of maintenance to do and trees to plant and all of that kind of stuff. So they would work. I think it could have been like 6:30 to 4 p.m. Like it was almost 10-hour days through the summer, but then in the winter they were like 6-hour days. So they got paid the same amount every month, but in the winter, like for so many months of the year, you'd have lessened hours because there wasn't as much to do. But I think because of that, because he'd always be home around like between 4 to 5, we would just have dinner at 5:30. Usually it wouldn't be past 6 o'clock when we'd sit down and start. But again, like other families might be different depending on when their parents were working. So
I always grew up with an early supper time. Even when I was a kid, like it was always 5:30, 6-ish at latest. So like everyone I know though is like a 7 o'clock, 6:37. And then when I was with Christina, she'd be like 8 o'clock. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing eating at 8 o'clock?
I
don't
know, man. No, it's not. So I find that now, like now these days when we get home from work, we like throw something on
Yeah, of course.
Because I finish work at 4, she finishes at 5-ish.
Yeah.
You know, we're usually eating or have eaten by 6 o'clock.
Yeah, right.
Now,
Nothing wrong with that.
No, and if you're going out, maybe you push it, 6, 7, between 7 to 8, maybe. But
Right.
for the most part, I would rather eat at 5 because then you've got the evening to
You've got the evening
let
ahead
it digest
of you.
and everything.
Exactly. It's not like, it's a weird thing to me. I mean, if you're going out for a movie and it's like a late movie or whatever, like you're going out
That
for the
makes sense.
9:30, then go eat
100%
at
makes
8
sense.
o'clock. Totally makes sense. But like, it's not my prime time to eat every night. I prefer to have my food in me before 8 o'clock. It's just, I don't know. It's just the weirdest thing. And I know this is not what people want to listen to.
I sleep better, I find, when I eat early. I realize we're not on a chat with ourselves. Yeah.
So what I want to say, we got a few more minutes. What I want to say is go see Deadpool and Wolverine again as soon as you can and see what else you notice about it. But I will tell you this too. Remember when I was saying that Cassandra Nova must go back to the void because of the strings? No, because I caught it this time around. Because the reason why Logan and Wade survived is because it was 2 people creating a circuit dealing with the matter and antimatter energy.
Right.
Any one person dealing with it cannot handle that energy, and if the stream is broken, it will atomize you. So I noticed this time around that like Cassandra Nova's got to be fucking straight gone, because instead of like in Loki, when the strings come over you and you kind of just disappear, she got atomized. Like they show her body going gone, like to pieces. So I think she's done. Like I think that was something I missed first time around.
Yeah, I assumed that she would be back. Yeah, I assume she'd be back because she was well done. She's a good villain. So I was like, oh, there's no way they'll get rid of her.
She might be, but also the way it looked and the way they explained it was one person can't survive this. You need 2. Which is why Wade and Wolverine were able to pull it off.
I mean, you've also got to think, too, that at the end of the day, if Cassandra Nova is back, it doesn't have to be that Cassandra Nova.
Can be a variant until the end of it. But I did like how he made his commentary on the multiverse. I caught it the first time, but this time much better. Where he's like, guys, the multiverse, it's just not good. Can we just put it away? Can we just get rid of it? Like, he's right.
I know.
It's got to go. It's got to go.
He's 100% right. Like, having 1 or 2 alternate worlds is one thing.
Yeah.
Having thousands is ridiculous.
An infinite version of possibilities for a Deus Ex Machina that like no story ever has peril is kind of shitty. But
Wolverine died, we'll just get another one.
Exactly. But I'll leave it at that. So tomorrow is AEW All In.
Yes.
Are you going to be watching it?
I probably not.
Okay, I'm watching it. The last question I want to ask you is, do you think they will let Bryan Danielson win the main event and retire with the AEW championship? Or will Swerve beat him?
I think it's more likely that Swerve wins.
I would say that you would be correct on just about anybody else. But because of how they let Sting go out.
Yeah. Now the thing is,
deserves this one.
I 100% agree with you there. I just think Danielson is the kind of guy that would rather
go out on his sword.
Yeah. Because
I think he would. Yeah.
And I think it's not like he's retiring altogether.
For good.
He's retiring from full time. So he's basically going to have a Roman Reigns like schedule after this, right?
No.
And that's
they said he might come back like once a year if he ever comes back, or twice a year. And
okay,
that
so
might
he's
not
got,
be
so, he,
for a
so
couple
he's got
years.
He's got a rock like schedule after this then.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he's up in the air.
I can see him maybe doing like if he wins and he has a short run and loses it all out and then he's done. I could see that, but I don't think he wants to go for much longer because he's promised his kids, right? Like I think that's the bigger thing.
I honestly say give it to him. There's
nobody
agree. Like Adam Copeland deserves it. He deserves it. Mm-hmm. Give it to him one more time and do what Brett wanted to do. You know what I mean? Give it to him like how Brett wanted Survivor Series and just say, okay, I'm going to vacate the title immediately afterwards. Does it hurt Swerve? Yeah, there's an argument to be made that it hurts Swerve's momentum. But let's say Swerve gets it right back. Let's say Swerve's just an evil fucking prick and gets it right back. Like,
the other option too
you
is
can get
have
the heat back.
get Swerve a rematch almost immediately and have him just
That's what I'm
destroy
saying.
him, right?
That's
Like
what I'm
you
saying.
don't.
Yeah.
He doesn't even have to vacate. He can have a rematch and have Swerve beat him.
I just think Danielson deserves that moment at all.
100% agree. I 100%
He had to sit out
agree.
the first one, and I think he deserves this one.
Oh, I agree.
I was just curious.
Yeah. So I 100% agree that I think he deserves it, and I think AEW the belt would be great to have his name in the lineage.
Oh, I think so.
I also can see Bryan Danielson happily being the guy who never won a belt in AEW because he's putting other wrestlers over.
I could see that too. I certainly could.
This is one of those matches where I couldn't honestly call who I think is going to win.
This is what they call a pick'em.
It really is.
Like, so fucking tough.
I could flip a coin on this, and that would be how I decide. Like, I don't know who I know who I want to win. I know who I think
to win it. I really
do. Yeah, same. I would love Danielson to win it.
Yeah.
However, like as like a mark, I almost am like, yeah, I can almost see it going the other way. Like I could almost see Swerve taking it. So
if this was WWE, I'd say Swerve was the easy money to bet on retaining.
Exactly.
In a hard fought battle that this was going down. But this is Tony Khan we're talking about.
Who put Sting out on top.
Yeah. And Tony Khan has an affinity for him. And Bryan Danielson is like a right-hand man for him behind stage. Like he's a creative influence. He's a personal influence. You know, they're friends. And one could argue, seriously, Danielson didn't get his swan song in WWE the way it should have happened because
absolutely not.
It fell in the middle of Roman Reigns' reign. And like no one was getting a swan song at that time unless you were Cody Rhodes. Like it's just the way it was going. But Danielson, I think, deserves it. He's gone 3 years in the company he's challenged for it multiple times and failed. So I think I want to personally see him raise the belt. Now, you can have him raise the belt, and then on Dynamite, Swerve comes out and just fucking cripples him, like kayfabe-wise, if you want, to the point where he cannot defend the belt or even, walk out with it. That's fine, too. You could do that, but give him the moment because, like I said about Cody Rhodes, it's not about the reign. Cody Rhodes is always going to be a palate cleanser. I'm not for Cody Rhodes having a 2-3 year reign. I don't want to see that.
No.
There's no interest in that for me. Love Cody, but I don't want it. It was about the moment. It was about finishing the story in that moment and getting that spotlight. That's the same thing I feel with this. This is the final countdown for Bryan Danielson. Give him what he deserves. Give it to him.
I agree.
So that'll be interesting. And we'll chat later. Tell me if you 100%. Decide to go see Deadpool and Wolverine again, you won't be sorry.
No, I know I won't be sorry. Yeah, no, I will indeed clue you in. As is often the way, I have no final thoughts because I recognize that if I have any, we'll keep going. So, folks, you know where to find us. We'll catch you in the flip side.
Hey, thanks for watching the previous video from Graphic Policy Television. Just by watching, you help support our site. Thank you so much. Now, if you're watching these videos, you probably care about geeky things like movies, television, comic books, toys, games, video games, you name it. You can go and subscribe right now to our YouTube channel to stay in touch and catch all the new videos, or check out our website at graphicpolicy.com. There's a nice link on this end of the video. But as always, thank you for watching. Keep on rocking and keep it geeky.